Fight! Finish him! Fatality! Decapitation! Blood! Scorpion wins! I am Lord Raiden, and I am completely useless in these stories. Look out, Lord Raiden! It's Kano, and he's on the combat cycle! This was an actual branded Mortal Kombat toy from 1991. This was part of the line of action figures, the ones that were in the style of G.I. Joe figures. Man, what an idea this was, huh? So Mortal Kombat, if you don't know what Mortal Kombat is, you must have been living in a hole for the past 25 to 30 years or so. But in case you don't know, it's a video game series that is known for its violence, and boy do we love it for it. It was a fighting game series that revolutionized the genre, and it was the reason why the ESRB was created, the people that put the rating systems on video games to, you know, keep violence away from children. Even though, even back then, we were still able to get violent video games. The ESRB is useless. Now the thing about fighting games is that storyline-wise, they're not usually the best. Basically the story of a fighting game is just pretty much why they're fighting in the first place, right? It doesn't really take much. I mean, if you want a decent story in a video game, you know, you go to an RPG or an action-adventure game or first-person shooter or something like that. You don't look to fighting games for that kind of thing. But because Mortal Kombat was so popular, it got a lot of adaptations over the years. And unfortunately, a lot of those adaptations suffered because of the violence and, well, the basic storyline. There was, of course, the live-action film, which, while it had its problems, is still quite beloved even to this day. It was a competently structured film at the very least, even though it didn't quite follow the storyline, though it did have its fair share of problems. Then there was the sequel, which sucked. Mortal Kombat also had a couple of cartoons, of which I reviewed on Cartoon Clip Show a number of years ago. There was Defenders of the Realm, which, while not one of the worst shows ever, it wasn't really good as a Mortal Kombat show, mostly because they kind of ousted all the violence and made it just a generic Saturday morning cartoon. Then there was The Journey Begins, which was that weird kind of hybrid CGI thing that was direct-to-video, which was really, really bad and basically only served as a promo for the live-action film. Also, I think there was a live-action TV show, wasn't there? Yeah. Boy, that sure existed, didn't it? But for a while, there was talks about a new Mortal Kombat movie coming out, and we finally got it. Mortal Kombat: Scorpion's Revenge. This movie is done by Warner Brothers Animation, which is known for the animated DC movies, and this movie has pretty much the same quality as you'd expect from one of those. And as you can see right here, this movie is rated R, meaning this is the very first Mortal Kombat adaptation to get an appropriate rating. And boy, did it earn that rating in the opening sequence alone. So this movie is more or less an adaptation of the first game, where we have the characters going to the island to fight in the tournament to defend Earthrealm, but it uses a lot of elements from some of the other games. Like, you see a lot of other characters show up. You got Quan Chi, Kitana, Motaro makes an appearance as well. There's also a couple of other characters in this that I want to say are obscure, but I guess not as well known as other characters in this franchise, I suppose would be more accurate. Unless you're familiar with the Deadly Alliance Armageddon era of Mortal Kombat. You know, the era that Mortal Kombat 9 wiped clean. Thank God. There's also other little references here and there. They do the test your might thing in one quick scene. They do X-ray moves, you know, the moves from the game where you punch a guy and you'd see the X-ray of his face cracking and stuff like that. And a lot of the moves the characters pull off are, you know, from the games. Like Sonya's leg scissor move. God, I hate that. So the movie mostly focuses on Scorpion and his origin story. And let's be honest, of all the characters from the original Mortal Kombat game, Scorpion is by far the most interesting. But like I said, this is based mostly on the plot of the first game, so there's also a lot of focus on Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya as they head to the island to fight in the tournament. Voice-wise, we have a lot of actors that voice the characters in some of the games, like Patrick Seitz is the voice of Scorpion, and Steve Blum is the voice of Sub-Zero, who played them in some of the more recent games. But there are a lot of actors in this that don't really have any connection to Mortal Kombat at all, like Joel McHale is the voice of Johnny Cage, who friggin' nails it, of course, because if you're gonna voice Johnny Cage, you gotta get him right. Though there is one other I do want to make mention of. Dave Mitchell as the voice of Raiden, because this is once again someone playing Raiden who has connections to the Highlander series. In the first live-action movie, he was played by Christopher Lambert, who was the main character in the first Highlander movie. And in Defenders of the Realm, he was voiced by Clancy Brown, who was the Kurgan in the first Highlander movie. And now we have Dave Mitchell, who was in the animated film Highlander: The Search for Vengeance. He wasn't one of the main characters or anything, but he was in it, and that's all that matters. I really don't know how this became a thing, but I'm totally cool with it. So I think my only major problem with this movie was that it's sold as a Scorpion movie, as in it was just going to be all about Scorpion, and while it was one of the main focuses, we still spent equal amount, if not more time with the other characters from the series as well. Because of that, there was too much distributed focus, and I feel like it caused some pacing issues with this movie. Also, there was a big twist in this movie, which I'm trying to remember if this was accurate to the game. I can't... It's been a while since I looked into Mortal Kombat lore, but I feel like the big twist of this movie kind of came out of nowhere, and in context of the film, at the very least, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I would absolutely recommend this movie. This is by far the most accurate adaptation of Mortal Kombat yet. It still had some problems, but it's certainly the closest we're going to get to the continuity of the games. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of this. In fact, they did seem to want to set up a sequel at the very end of the film. And from what I understand, the next animated DC movie is going to be the last one or something like that, or at least the last one in the continuity they've built up over the years. So maybe they need a new cash cow right now. And if Mortal Kombat is going to take the place of a lot of the DC movies, then I'm okay with it if they keep making them like this. But that's all I got for Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. And if they do another Mortal Kombat movie, which character do you think they should focus on? My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.